If you guys want to get into fixing and flipping houses or rehabbing houses so you can keep them using the burst strategy and keep houses for free, then you need to know a little bit about rehabbing them. I got my guy Demetrius here. He actually does a lot of work for me, and I figured this will be a great way for you guys to, to get out some of your Q&A questions and learn a little bit more about the rehab process and our deals. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Sawan. Thanks, D, for coming on.
Anytime.
Absolutely. It's funny thing is, the more and more I talk to D, the more and more I realize, we kind of know each other in passing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll tell everybody about yourself.
So my name is Demetrius. I own Roofing Exteriors Pro. We're an area leading exterior, interior renovational company. Anything from a deck to a roof to a siding to windows. You need it fixed, we can do it. I met Sawan probably about 8 years ago.
Yeah, man.
And I was
a long time ago.
Yeah. So I bought a house. I was my first flip and fix, and I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I just was in the game of actually doing the work, but then I got into the house, and then I got the house, and it was like, it's not what I thought it had more damage I needed, and then along came Sawan.
Yeah. How'd you get the house?
So I had a client that basically I went out to sell a roof for. I was still a salesman then.
Yeah.
And I went out to sell the roof to her, and she couldn't afford to get the roof done.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I got this other property. And she just she felt she denied credit. She started telling me about her stories about she had going on. I had time for my next appointment. So I'm like, why not listen?
Absolutely.
So I'm talking to her. She's like, you wanna come see this next property?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And the next thing you know, I done seen 4 more properties. And she was like, yeah, I own 20 something of them. And I just need to get rid of this one. I swear, if you had about $5,000-$10,000, I get rid of. I'm like,
oh, nice.
Hey, let's make it happen.
Oh, nice.
So one thing led to another. I ended up helping her get a roof put on, and I purchased the property.
Nice.
And then from there, I did a little bit of work to it, but then it was more than what I wanted, and then I found you.
Nice, and you sold it to me. That's what's up.
Yeah,
that's what's up. But yeah, that's how we met. Which is funny. That's literally how business goes. I always tell guys when you're making phone calls and stuff, and you're out here doing business, really. But yeah, this is my guy. I wanted to bring him on because out of my years of doing roofs and windows and siding, every time you guys do that stuff for me, I don't have to worry about anything. It's great. It's great. See, the smallest stuff, the metal around the windows, you know what I mean? Or even how y'all did the one up in Dunleith. You said, hey, yo, the way you put this window together, it could be better. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to have him on for that particular reason. So today I want to go through the mistakes, the common mistakes that you guys will make as you're finding good or bad contractors, because I've had people steal money from me and da. So we'll run through those.
Okay.
So what's one of the common mistakes that you think people run across, that investors or clients will run across when they're about to rehab a property? Not having a plan. I agree.
Just coming to you with a vision of what they want done.
Yeah.
Not having a plan on what they want to do or how they want to execute it. Wanting to do it in the craziest phases possible. You should not be putting on siding, then coming back and putting on windows.
Yeah.
It's now you gotta tear off the siding you just put on.
Exactly.
So it's now you gotta get charged more, and then what you doing remodeling, you're flipping homes, you're trying to keep the cost down as low as possible, right? So it's best that you go in at the right order of operation, because if you don't go in the right order of operation, you're gonna have to get charged, and it's you can't be upset, because whether you got someone you have a relationship with or it's just a day by night guy you didn't met that you're trying to use,
Absolutely.
he still has to charge for that labor, that wood, that tearing that siding down, putting new trim up. Let's
talk about the order of operation. That's a good one, because if you do, like you said, if you do the siding before you do the windows, now you just doubled your expenses.
Yes.
Because you're supposed to put the windows in first and then do the siding.
Correct.
So if I'm doing a full rehab, what do you think the very first thing, we should be doing, on a full rehab?
Full rehab, some people hate to hear this, but Do your roof first.
Always the roof. Always. I don't know why people don't do the roof first.
It's
it's very simple.
Like if you see any lines of trouble with it, you gotta think about it. It's gonna protect everything on the outside, and if water gets up under that roof, it's gonna run down and damage probably stuff where you can't even imagine when water could get to.
Exactly.
Because it's water. It can just flow through cracks and anything.
Bro, like you can have a roof leak like on the ridge, you know, on the ridge where a pipe vent is, and then it'll end up over here in a valley in the, you know what I mean, 20 feet away.
I've seen one time a lady had a pipe boot leak on the roof, right, that caused her window on this side of the house because it just ran and it was just rotting all the wood around it. Yeah. And it was like, well, I'm like, she was like, I just want to change the window. I was like, well, you know, I changed the window, I'm gonna be right back.
Right.
I'm telling you, you need to fix the roof. So like she fixed the window. She went against my judgment. Probably about 2 years later, she called me back and was like, I need to change this roof.
Exactly.
And I need to do this window again because what you said was gonna happen happened. And I was like,
no, water is like the death of a house.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so that's the goal, you know, is to do the roof first. What do you think is next?
After you do the roof, you want to go ahead and do the windows and the siding.
I think
that's
so
gonna be done. And also do the soffit and the fascia while you're doing it because it's not gonna match. And if you're trying to get rid of it quick, it's gonna be a sore eye. Like you done did all this side and got pretty new windows and roof on it, but you don't do the soffit and fascia. And soffit and fascia is not included in a siding job.
Absolutely.
It's just a different fastener of the home.
Absolutely.
So
okay, and just so you know what fascia and siding is, guys. So like there's a, you know, you got the roof, and then you have this portion at the end of the roof where it meets. That right there, that's the fascia.
Yep.
And then there's like a portion that goes back, and then that portion right there is the soffit.
And that's called, it's like the boxing out. With that box right there, you want to make sure you take care of that part as well. Once you finish with that, you pretty much did most of the exterior, unless you have like a porch or something, because it's safety hazard.
Or unless you have foundation. So if you have foundation, you might want to do it right before you do the windows.
Correct.
You know, but other than most houses, especially for you guys beginners, don't even start with the foundation stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's a bad joist, that's common, that's easy.
Because those are older houses that most likely you're gonna have a world of more trouble to get into. So it's like, I would say for new people to stay away from houses those older houses that have foundation work and stuff regardless. Because with those open crawl spaces, because you're probably finna get into a world of trouble.
A nice slab, or I'll take a tall crawl space for somebody that's beginning, but really like a 1990s home or above is great for a beginner.
Definitely.
You know.
Definitely.
So we got roof first, foundation, windows, siding, and then we go into the inside.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's a great like plan of order, but you can definitely get messed up, you know, when it comes to not having the right plan. We're gonna finish the plan real quick because I think this is important actually. So when I get inside, I like to do the rough end plumbing, and I like to do the rough end electrical, and then I like to do the drywall.
Correct.
You know.
And again, that goes into that order of operation, because if you start trying to work on talking about painting and drywall and all of it, and you haven't even had the electrical and the plumbing inspected, if they have to do that kind of work, they're gonna tear all that stuff up.
Oh yeah, electrical literally will cut a hole. You know, they will cut a hole all the way down your wall, your ceilings, in every room. So you can't paint before you do the electrical.
And personally, me, I like to start with the flooring first before I do that. Not actually, and I say stage one of the flooring. Make sure you don't have any subfloor damage or anything, because somebody come inside the house and they're doing work for you, they get hurt. Now you got a claim already, and you ain't even finished revamping the house.
Exactly.
So I'll get my subfloor, make sure everything's good on that, and make sure there's no problem with any of that stuff. Absolutely. And then we'll have the plumbing come in, the electrical come in. Those two coincide each other. You can do that in whatever order you prefer, as far as cost efficiency. And then after that, you know that everything's good. What's gonna get torn out. Then you worry about the drywall. Then you can go ahead and paint everything. Yeah. And then all the accessories and everything that come from that, you smooth sailing from there.
Absolutely. And the subfloor is mainly gonna be like around where water is.
Correct.
So like the kitchen and like around the toilet.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I haven't seen it.
So so if when you guys go into one of those, you know, one of the houses that you're looking at, and you step in the floor and it's a little soft, completely normal, common issue. That's what he's talking about. You know, but that's kind of like the order of operation whenever you're doing rehabs. Because that's like, in my opinion, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. You can easily go over budget by 10 grand by going out of order. I mean, easily. What's one of the next mistakes that you think people out here making?
I would say You talk.
I say not meeting with your contractor before you get started.
Picking the correct contractors, making sure that whatever they're doing, that they're not a fly-by-night guy. Like I said a few seconds ago, it's like you don't want to catch someone who's just a jack of all trades, in the sense of they haven't mastered any.
Jack of all trades. Okay, so let's. This is what happens. So you got a rehab project or you got one under contract. And speaking of a subcontractor, he's calling me now. Typically what happens, people will find a contractor and they'll say, hey, what do you do? You know? And I think the most common response that a contractor will say is,
they'll probably say everything.
I do everything.
And I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, and I understand my intro, but it's things that I've done and I actually done with my own hands. Yeah. But there's a list of things I will not touch.
Exactly. And that's the most important thing. Once somebody says they do everything, in my opinion, is like red flag. Hold on. Tell me what you don't like doing. You know, tell me what you don't like doing, because somebody can paint and plumb and do electrical and do HVAC. Somebody can do that, but most likely they're way better at flooring or they're way better at electrical. You know what I mean? Nobody is like perfect at everything.
No way.
You know what I mean? So I think a good question to ask a person that says they can do everything is say, well, what do you sub out?
Yeah, that's the question right there. Because like for me, we build a lot of screening porches and additions and things, right? And I tell my sales rep, tell the homeowner straight up, tell them we're subbing the electrical out. We're not, look, that's a separate price that will be quoted, and we'll give you the true cost of that. But we're not doing that part. But we have to do it because we're adding lights and we're adding can lights or ceiling fans. We have to pull the permit. We got to put them up there, so we got to let you know ahead of time, because sometimes you have to sign documents when you're adding people to certain permits.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man, making sure that you know what they're comfortable with doing, and look at their work, check their references if you don't know them.
What does checking references look like?
So checking their references, so I have homeowners that what they do is, and I love when they do this. Honestly, I know I'm gonna have a good client if they do this right here. They'll be like, can you give me some work to drive by? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you can drive by the work and see it. And then some of them should have a list of references. I have at least 5 references. Somebody asked me right now, I can give you 5 clients that I've had sign a document saying that I can give their information out, and that they need, somebody can call and basically, like, not like Google references, stuff like, because sometimes more people will go on Google and stuff and just vent than they will go tell you about good work they've done. They should have a list of people who can tell you about their experience from start to finish. And most of the time, those people gonna tell you the nitty-gritty truth about, from communication to timeliness of how you did the job, about timeliness of showing up, about the quality of the product, because they've been in these homes from the time. And all of my personal views, this work has been done over a year or two, and I update it every year, so that we're still fresh in their mind, and the work is actually withstanding some time, so that when you go check it, you're gonna come back and be, all right, I want to go with you guys.
Nice. I like that. I like that, because honestly, I like having like a conversation with somebody. Like, if I get a contractor from one of my guys, like, yo, he did this work for me, this is what he did. That's good. I like that references. That's awesome. Now, as far as finding a good person, where do good contractors go? Like, how do we make sure we're finding a good one? Because it's kind of tough. Everybody's going online but it's kind of tough to know, like.
The best way I would say finding contractors, I'm gonna be real, just my personal opinion, is through networking. That's why networking is imperative, because anybody can paint a pretty picture online. Just look at some of these Instagrams and social media, Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
People can paint any kind of facade online if you have a good digital marketing team.
Absolutely.
But going by references from other people who do work, other people in the industry. Also, you can ask other contractors. Other contractors partner with certain contractors, where it's like I got a company that the company I was talking about that does my electrical work. They'll refer us out. Like, we get a lot of work from them, and vice versa, because we know they do good work. And I got them actually from a homeowner who was like, I have an actual, probably 3 years ago, a homeowner was like, I got this electrician I want to use. I had one of my subcontractors that put me on to a guy. But when I met these guys, they took some steps away from me. Like, I had to go pull the permit for them. They did it themselves. It was like, or they would attach to it themselves. They could communicate with the city and already had a relationship with the cities that we were doing work in. So it was like, that kind of like stamped in for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, another common mistake that I see is is guys overdoing on projects. There's this house over off of Phillips. I don't know if you've seen it. It's off of Phillips, but it's like they got this brick house. It's 2-story. It take them
before
years.
The daycare, after the daycare.
After the daycare, it's taken them years to build it. You know, they're still not done. It's like almost castle-like.
And they're never gonna.
They're never gonna get done. They're
back.
never gonna get done, and they're never gonna get the value back because they're just putting so much work in it. It's like, bro, we're in the hood. Like, why are you trying to spend?
You got to know the phase of the gentrification that's going on in the areas that you're going to do remodels in. Because you can overshoot and over budget and put too much in a house, and you might as well move into it because you'll never get the rent that you want of it because the area it's in. It's not, and it's probably still in phase 1 of gentrification. That's why you haven't seen so many of the houses over there being remodeled. So you're not going to be able to rent it out. People aren't going to want to move over there to buy it and wait for that phase to continue.
Right.
It's like in the southeast part of Raleigh where we came up from.
Absolutely.
Like you saw when they started doing it in that area, like it's just now getting to the point that people are moving in.
Right.
And trying to actually like, all right, well, you know, anybody who bought in probably like 10, 15 years ago, those houses sat. You know what I'm saying? If they sat on the house, just waited, they winning.
Right.
But if they bought in and they tried to remodel it like crazy, then they're just now probably getting a renter or getting a buyer.
I agree.
Because the neighborhood is just turning.
Exactly.
So just be careful with knowing the phase and make sure you go down to the city council, be aware of like where they are in their phases for what they're building around it and what they're finna put there. So it's like, the tell back on the question you asked me, man, don't put no crown molding around these walls and these houses.
Facts.
Don't go in here and
Facts.
put the highest end cabinetry in there, put good quality material in there, but you shouldn't be putting, if it's, say it's 3 tiers, you shouldn't put the lowest tier because if you put renters in it, you want to make sure there's nothing they can tear up easily.
Right.
But don't put the highest end in there because it's a rental property or it's a flip house. You want to make it look good because whoever buys it, they can do that same work. Yeah,
they're gonna do their own thing.
So it's like don't put too much money in it.
Let's talk about a good middle grade real quick. So on cabinets, right? On cabinets, we got the raw wood. You know, it's not solid, but it's like raw wood that you can buy from Home Depot. You know, and then I think the next level up might be like a shaker. You know, it's more like a compressed, you know, it's not solid wood, but it's like a compressed kind of wood, you know, with the wrap around it. And then we got like the next level, which is, you know, all wood with the soft close, that kind of thing.
So you never should put all wood in anything. In any of your projects, you should not be putting all wood in there. And I repeat it, do not. You're wasting money. Honestly, I think, not to sound contradictory of my last statement, but I will be using the Horizon Home Depot but basically I have a level end of cabinetry in there that's usually always in stock. One of the speed your project up. God, I'm drawing a blank with the name, but you'll see it when you go in there. It's there.
Absolutely.
So you can use the basic Home Depot brand that's in there. You can get the kind that you can paint, or this kind that's already primed for painting. It depends on what your aesthetic you're going. I'll put more money in my flooring and use use an LPV on the floors versus using
not the thinnest one, the thinnest LVP.
Because that and don't use that roll flooring either. Like certain things you shouldn't cut corners on. But put some good flooring in there because it won't squeak, it won't make noise, it won't tear or tarnish easily.
Right. But we're not putting solid wood down either.
No, don't put. You shouldn't put wood anything down. Like you should be using OSB for everything. Like you should not be buying plywood or wood for anything because it's just the price point. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying you don't want to use quality products, but you got to make sure you stand within that window of your price point. And that's why also he was saying earlier, meeting with your contractor.
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all go over this plan.
Exactly.
Y'all know exactly what any projects we do, we talk about. Absolutely. He tells me his vision. He tells me what he's trying to do. I tell him, well, let's use this product. Let's do this. Let's use this.
Absolutely.
And he was like, yeah, I like that. Let's go with that.
Right. Is it in my budget?
Exactly what he said too. And then we roll. But you should have that understanding so that if you have somebody you build a relationship with, over time, it's just more so it's like, he'll call me, he'll be like, I want this one to be white, trimmed. I want this to be white, trimmed in black gutters. I want white windows. He'll just tell me colors because I already know what he wants because we already have this understanding of what set of quality he wants and what the idea he's going for. So all I have to do is just execute with it. So when you pass that ball to your contractor, you gotta realize more than likely you got a 9-to-5 job, or you know what I'm saying, unless you're full time doing this. you should not be having to micromanage them once you pass the ball.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Now the last thing I think is a big one that we should tackle is everybody underestimates how much it's actually going to cost.
Yeah.
Everybody underestimates how much it's actually going to cost. And so I want to talk about real quick, how can we solve that? And over the years of talking to you, I kind of know how, but like everybody says, oh yeah, this right here, this is a $20,000 job. I'm like, how? 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 You know what I mean? So when it comes to pricing, like if I'm an investor and I go out to a house, right? What can we do to make sure that we are like getting some kind of accuracy on an estimate on the job?
All right, so the best thing to do, little cheat code, call 3 people, right? Yeah. Get 3 people to come out and quote it. Then you'll get a ballpark of what it is. Yeah. And then you will know what the high, medium, low is. Then use that average price, and there you are. But then you always can negotiate and really see.
Call 3 people with a scope of work in mind.
There you go. Yes. With everything we talked about before, be prepared before you call. Don't call them and tell them, I got this house. I'm trying to get it rehab. Can you come out and take a look at it? They're gonna look at everything. Stuff that you ain't even think they were supposed to look at. They can look at everything on that house. But if you call them and you like, look, man, I got some windows, some siding, some soffit, I got some flooring. Do you do plumbing? Like when you go out of normal categories that you think they do or don't do, you ask the question, do you do? Yeah. And that's how you gauge them. You don't assume they do it. Or you just start out, do you do roofing? Do you do siding? Do you windows? All right, well, since you do those few things, can you do that? And then when you get them in, you can get a feel for what else they do. But the discovery part of it is the part people want to skip and they don't want to do. For sure. It's like the discovery part really, but like you said, you got to get 3 people to come in, get some quotes, know what you want done. And then after that, you take that quotes and you haggle, bro. Yeah. Right. Sawan haggled me like heck before we got to a set crown for everything. Praise God. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because and a contractor that doesn't see the potential in you, what I saw on Sawan, just being straight up, bro, I saw that we could do volume. Right. There's no need to hit a home run every time. Right. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't see the value in relationships. So it's like,
I really like the dashboard too, because I forget how many jobs we actually do. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm just shooting a text like job. But then going through the little dashboard, it's like, dang, okay, I just spent $100,000 with my man, Yeah. So that's dope. More than that actually, but but that's dope. So I look, guys, don't try to estimate, especially if you've never done a rehab before. I hate these wholesalers be making up numbers talking about the rehab gonna be $40,000. You ain't even done a rehab before. You honestly have to call in. I think that's great advice. Call in 3 different people to get different prices, and you'll start to understand the way they're coming up with their prices when you put together a scope of work. And a lot of times, like for a roof, is per square. So you find out how many squares your roof is. For your windows, you can come up with like a per window price. And then now per window, this is on average what you're going to get per window. Now it's going to be a little different based off the size, because some of them got to be custom, exactly. Some of them not going to be in stock and that kind of thing.
But you always got to make sure you keep in mind that if you just looking on Lowe's or Home Depot and you send the window price, somebody got to install it.
Somebody got to install it. Somebody got to take the old one out. Yeah. Somebody got to do the trimming. Throw it away. Somebody got to do the trimming. So it is added stuff added on to just buying a particular window. But look, guys, if you guys like little videos like this, us helping you get better at the rehab portion of it, let us know. We'll have my mans on more. And actually, if somebody's in the local area, they want to reach out to you and get your help, how can they reach out?
You can look me up at Roofing Exteriors Pro on Instagram or Facebook, or you can look me up at Beachy_Lee on Instagram. And y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Or even if you get a job here in North Carolina and you want to sub it out to my man, still reach out. Look, remember, you don't need all 3 to do your first deal: time, money, and knowledge. You just need 2 to do you. Peace, y'all.